All right, so round two. Sorry for that last video being basically trash, but it's okay. So for your homework, if you will, I want you to do level 1 or level 2. You get to pick. So either page 17 or 18 in your packet. All you gotta do is post a picture of your work on eClass in the Dropbox, and that's gonna be available under that in probably the next hour. So Tuesday's work. Finish your interim review. You will turn this in when you get back to school, whenever that may be. So that might be 4 weeks, whatever. But don't have a copy, then you got to write it on a piece of paper. So videos have already been posted for that. I'm not sure if we're going to be taking the interim when we get back. They haven't told us yet. So just be prepared that the day you come back, we're going to take interims. So just keep that in mind. Okay? Wednesday's work. We're going to do a quiz review. This is not included in your packet. You need to write it down. Some of these problems we've already done before, but just want to make sure that kind of touch base on some of these AKSs because we've talked about them, but we haven't really implemented them. So this is the quiz review. I'll probably post a copy of it on eClass in just a second. So if we have this problem, we're going to solve for V. Again, we've seen these problems before. So if I'm going to solve for V, I'm going to divide by A on both sides. So V is going to equal W divided by A. If I'm going to solve for A, I'm going to take the original problem and divide by V. And A is going to equal W divided by A. A is going to equal W divided by V. Now the best way to practice these problems is to literally pause this video and work them out for yourself. So I would get a copy of it or scroll through the next couple of things and check your work after a while. So if I'm going to solve for R here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide by 2 pi on both sides. And that's going to give me R equals C divided by 2 pi. The reason why we had a little bit of trouble the first time that we went through this, so bear with me on this. So if I'm solving for B on this one, I'm going to divide by 1/2 h on both sides. Divide by 1/2 h on both sides. So that's going to give me B equals A divided by h over 2. And the reason why I'm saying h over 2 is because I would take 1/2 and multiply it times h. And that's just another way I can rewrite it. Now mathematicians don't like having fractions in the bottom. So we're going to do a keep, change, flip. So keep the top, change the sign to a multiplication instead of division, and then flip the fraction. So this final answer will be 2a over h. Try B. It's the same process, except now you're just solving for h. So pause the video, try it on your own, and then come back. So if I'm solving for h, what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide by 1/2 b on both sides. Ooh, okay. Wrecking all the stuff up. Okay, so that's going to give me A divided by B over 2, because if I multiply 1/2 times B, that's going to give me B over 2. I'm going to do keep, change, flip, so I'm going to keep the first, change the sign, flip the fraction, and that's going to give me 2A over B. So very similar to what we got on the last one. All right, so if I'm going to solve for F on this one, I'm going to try to get F by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is distribute. So I'm going to get C equals 5/9 F minus 160 divided by 9. Okay, because 5 times 32 is going to be 160. Then I'm going to add 160 over 9 on both sides. And I'm not going to change that to a decimal because you're going to get like some crazy number. So that's going to give me C plus 160 divided by 9 equals 5/9 F. Now, I want to get F by itself. So I need to get rid of this 5/9. So in order to get rid of a fraction, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, or you could divide by 5/9. It's the same process. So when I do that, I'm going to get, this stuff cancels out. F is going to be equal to 5/9 C plus 5 times 160. I'm sorry, I'm multiplying by 9/5. That's why it's not working. I'm sorry. Let's back that up. So I'm multiplying by 9/5. I don't know why I wrote that. 9/5. Okay, so over here, this cancels out. So that gives me F. And then over here, this is going to give me 160 divided by 5, which is going to give me 32. And then over here, that's going to give me 9/5 C. So when I distribute this, this is what I'll get. Sorry for working that backwards. My bad. But F is going to be equal 9/5 C plus 32. Again, we did this in our notes, so just go back and check your notes. All right, so on these, we're going to sketch the solution to solve the system of inequalities. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that it gets into that y equals mx plus b format. All right, so I'm going to put this first one into y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to have 13x plus 4y is greater than 20. So I'm going to subtract 13x from both sides. That's going to give me 4y is bigger than negative 13x plus 20. We divide by 4 on every side. So y is going to be bigger than negative 13 over 4x plus 5. The reason why I got 5 is because 20 divided by 4 gives us 5. So if I plot this, I'm going to have a y-intercept at 5. And then this is telling me that I'm going to go down 13 and to the right 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll plot that point. Now, that sucks. Now, I'm going to put a dashed line for these because there's no line underneath that inequality. So this is going to be a dashed line. And then I'm going to shade, but I'm going to check and make sure which direction I should shade. So I always take the point 0, 0, and I plug it in to see if the statement is true. Your teacher might have taught you a different way. Just depends. Okay, so if I plug in 0, 0 into this equation, and I'm sorry, my handwriting is atrocious, I'm going to get 5 is less than 0, which is not the case. So that means that I'm going to shade away from 0, 0. That means I'm going to shade this way. Okay? So I'm going to try the second inequality. I'm going to solve for y right here. So I've got x, ooh, Lord almighty. So I've got x plus 2y is greater than negative 12. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides, and that's going to give me 2y is bigger than negative x minus 12. Divide by 2 on all sides. So y is going to be bigger than negative 1/2 x minus 6. And that 1/2 x is coming from 1 divided by 2, and negative 12 divided by 2 is going to give me negative 6. So I'm going to plot my y-intercept first, which is going to give me negative 6 right here. And then I'm going to go down 1 to the right 2, or I can go up 1 to the left 2. Doesn't matter, it's the same process. Up 1, left 2. Up 1, left 2. Okay, and all of that's going to also have a dashed line because no line underneath. Yeah. Okay, so then we're trying to figure out if we should shade above or below. Now, I'm going to plug in 0, 0 into this equation. So is 0 bigger than negative 6? Yes. So that means I'm going to shade towards 0, 0. So that means I'm going to take my little red highlighter and I'm going to shade towards 0, 0 or up. Okay. Now my solution is this stuff that is crossed over. Yeah. Cool. Try number 2. I'm going to post the answer in about 5-ish seconds. Alright, so the red is this one, and the blue is this one. So, as you can see, I've got dashed, and then I've got solid, because of those lines. And then the real solution is the one where they're crossing over. So it's really like this thick blue area. This red, that's just a solution for the red equation or inequality, but you want it to where it both crosses over. Okay? All right, go ahead and try 3 and 4. 3 is basically like 2. You just want to make sure that you understand how to plot. If you're struggling with how to plot, remember, use your graphing calculator. Like, plot the line and then do the inequality things. And then 4, you've got to rearrange it into that y equals mx plus b. Again, go ahead and pause the video, try it on your own, and then check your answers. All right, so here's answer number 3. So your full-blown answer is on this like shaded, like kind of looks like an American flag section over here. Again, make sure that you graph those lines and then you check by plugging in 0, 0, and you either shade towards 0, 0 if it's a true statement or away from 0, 0 if it's not a true statement. That's just how I do it. Again, your teacher might have taught you a little bit different, but it still should have gotten you same results. All right, you're trying number 4. I'm going to go ahead and set this up for you. So you're putting this into that y equals mx plus b format. Okay, so I'm going to solve for this first equation and put it in that format, or inequality. Sorry, I use those interchangeably, and they're not the same thing. I subtract x from both sides, and then I'm going to divide by 3. So that's going to give me y is greater than or equal to negative 1/3 x plus 7. I got 7 from 21 divided by 3. So you can plot that inequality, and then you want to plot the other one. So we're going to put that in that y equals mx plus b format. So we're going to move 10x to the other side. So that's going to give me 3y is less than negative 10x minus 6. We divide by 3 on both sides. So y is going to be less than negative 10 divided by 3x minus 2. All right, so go ahead and take a moment, pause the video, plot it, and then check your work. So when you do this, you're going to get this as your equation, or inequality graphs. Your solution is actually going to be this thick blue section. It's where they cross over. Sorry for this line being so jacked up, but here we are. So it's where they both cross over, which is right in here. Again, some solutions will make you erase this part that's not included on both parts. So just keep that in mind, but I do that just so you can see where I'm shading from. All right, cool. So the next video is going to be your Friday's work, which is going to be transformations. This is kind of moving into the next part of this unit. And again, I'm only posting this week's worth of stuff, so that hopefully we'll be back in school. I know y'all don't want to be, but it would make life easier for everyone. So the next unit or next video is going to be over transformations. So just keep on a lookout for that one.